Mr. Global, can you explain how oil prices are connected or disconnected from gasoline prices? Does the U.S. import gasoline, or is it just the U.S. demand versus the domestic production? Yes, oil prices have a direct connection to gasoline prices because gasoline is made from oil. And if your feedstock, or your raw materials are more expensive to make any product, then that product you make is going to be more expensive. And a lot of people ask, if we are producing more oil than we've ever produced, why are gas prices still high? That is because all oil is sold on the global market. It's just not a domestic market within the United States. So if the United States increases oil production, let's say to where we are now, we increase oil production by 2 million barrels a day, the only thing that OPEC has to do, which controls 40% of the world's oil, the only thing OPEC has to do is decrease their production by 2 million barrels a day, and that keeps the price right where it is, because they need that price at $80 a barrel. And that's why we're not seeing lower gas prices in the United States. The low gas prices we had during the last 2 years of the Obama administration and during the Trump administration had nothing to do with U.S. production. It had everything to do with OPEC pumping a record amount of oil and keeping oil prices down to try to harm U.S. producers. During the Trump administration, OPEC was producing about 3 million barrels a day more than they are right now. Oil was in the 50s and 60s for a lot of his administration. They did get up into the 70s there at one point, but oil mostly averaged in the 50s and 60s. It's been staying in a $10 range, during the Biden administration, or for the last 18 months, close to, between $70 and $80. Oil is traded on a global market. Gasoline is also traded on a market, and both of those markets kind of follow each other. But gasoline also has its own, set of circumstances, so to speak, that can actually set it apart from oil prices a little bit and make gasoline prices go up more than oil prices or fall more than oil prices fall, because it has its own supply and demand, environment. So this is oil prices over the last month. It looks like they're up about 8%. Gas prices over the last month are up over 11%. Why are they up more than oil? Because the refinery in Whiting, Indiana went down, and we lost over 400,000 barrels a day of gasoline production. That's what this spike is right here. That's what I mean when I say gasoline has its own set of circumstances that can cause it to increase or drop faster than oil. This right here is inventory against the 5-year average, and that line right there is current. That's how much our inventory has dropped, and we're about to drop out of the 5-year average. And if you look right here, that was last March. Last March, this March. Gasoline prices are a little bit lower this March than last March. Last March, they were further below the 5-year average. These are demand lines. The blue line is demand. The orange line is demand from 22 and 23. This is demand from 23 and 24. So our demand is going way up. And if you notice, the blue line for most of this chart is over the orange line. That's because we had a warmer winter. So demand for gasoline stayed higher all through here through this winter than it did last winter. And that kept upward pressure on prices and kept prices from falling below $3 a gallon, as I had predicted. I had predicted gasoline would fall below $3 a gallon. Then we had the hottest winter ever on record. Warm temperatures increased demand. And so demand throughout almost the entire winter was higher in the United States than it was last winter, and that ate up our inventories. So our gas prices have climbed on a national average to $3.41 a gallon. A lot of that has to do with the refinery. A lot of that has to do with demand. And I suspect gas prices are going to keep going up. That's from now until, through summer, gas prices are going to continue to rise. And with Ukraine hitting 3 refineries in Russia, which will mean Russia will have to import its gasoline, because the reports are that with the damage Russia has to its refineries from these latest attacks, they won't even be able to produce enough of their own gasoline, and they'll have to start importing it. That is also going to put higher pressure on gasoline prices moving forward. And at the worst time, spring, when gas prices always go up. Yeah, thanks.